It's hard to tell what's the chair and what's my leg. This is the left side. Flexing this. Where's my ankle? Back over to the right side now. Doesn't look like much movement, but right there it just went from my IT band on the left side. It was tightening, flexing the muscle. My hammy was getting tighter and tighter, and it was allowing the motion to go back. And then when it got to a certain point, I don't know what that point is, but it got to a certain point and it traveled across my pelvis into my right leg. This left leg stayed flexed or constricted at my own device until it got to a certain point, maybe a balance wherever it needed to reach at that point. And then it moved across my pelvis, and it started at the top of my right hip from the left side to the right side, and then immediately as the left side was flexed and in position, it affected the whole system, and it moved over to the right side, and then my right side became flexed. I'm just talking about it, and it's happening right now. Unbelievable. Okay. Now it's up here, up top, in the very, very damaged area, where all that flesh and muscle is built up on the side of my hip. Contracted, and it's all moving out and down. Okay, now it's just moving across the side of my hip and then to the back of my glute. When this happens, it pulls the whole pelvis into a new, more straight or lined position. When the pelvis moves into that position, the legs have to. They're connected. And so does the spine. It's the spine, L5, S1. L5, lumbar vertebra, number 5, the lowest one, chief weight-bearing vertebra. Okay? It sits on the promontory, which is the top of the sacrum. That articulation, when the pelvis straightens itself out. Am I doing this right? When the pelvis straightens itself out, there's no other choice but to have the spine straighten out as well. So this little exercise, this little straightening out, I'm following my body, and through the years now of learning my injuries and learning my body and treating it properly, I learned through experience and doing it and a great knowledge of the human body, when that pelvis starts to straighten itself out, everything that's connected to it must move. You can't move your shoulder here, okay, without moving the entire arm. Try to hold your arm still and move your shoulder. You can't. It originates here. Origin, okay, and insertion. You can't move your neck without moving your head, okay? You can't move your pelvis without moving everything that's attached to it. This is why it's so important to know about the human body. Our body. Everything you own, really. When the pelvis aligns itself, everything connected to it must move. You can't pull one link on a chain and not have the whole chain move. So as the pelvis straightens it out through flexing and learning about the musculature, okay, that's attached to the bone. When you flex these muscles, and when they become injured, it screws everything up. When you flex these muscles and begin to align them, and the pelvis moves, the spine that sits on top of the pelvis absolutely must move. What happens when your spine moves? Everything's connected to it. All of the energy runs through your spine via the spinal cord. When you move the spine and it aligns, it was all twisted and contracted. Now all of a sudden, bam, there's the foramina through which, hi, your spinal cord runs. The spinal cord is everything, right? It branches off through the spinal cord and goes out to feed every part of your body. So when you align the pelvis, you align the spine. All those vertebrae in the spine. 7 cervical, your neck. 12 thoracic, your mid-back between your shoulders. 5 lumbar, that's the ones we're most familiar with because L5, L4, S1 is the chief weight supporting part of our body. When these things move and start to align, all these little vertebrae which are twisted and turned, now you have a communication. Now you have energy or chi flowing. It's massive. It's massive, and we don't get it. We don't understand. You have to put the proper things in the body to allow that to happen. You have to have the proper amount of water in it. Body's 80, 70, 90% water, whatever. Mostly water. Most of you is water. Okay, if we don't have the proper things in it, then the stuff that we need to get to the different parts to take care of them, nutrients, energy, vitamins, minerals, all that stuff, cannot possibly get to where it goes, right? If you have a drop of water, it could do what a drop of water can. If you have a river or an ocean, then you have the power of these things. It's the capacity, it's the amount, it's volume. If you don't have the proper volume, amount of stuff in your body to have your body do what it's designed to do, it simply can't happen. If it needs to build a molecule of something and it needs the certain parts to build that molecule, for that molecule to go somewhere and heal, you simply don't have the capacity to build that molecule. It's like building a house or a mansion and not having the supplies, not having concrete or wood or the people or the tools to do it. We're simply starving ourselves. Put the proper things in the body, which means we have to start thinking properly to take those actions and to do those things, and that's what we don't do. So you have to realize that we're all mentally shot, and we're getting it handed down from generation to generation. It's not really genetics, in my opinion. Could be something there, but it's bad habits that are passed down. We have generations of people that just have unhealthy habits and an unhealthy society. So the proper thought process brings about the proper actions and movements and motions of our body to start to take care of it, to put the stuff in it that we need to be healthy. Okay, then the thought process, and no one wants to think that they're mentally ill. We could say, oh, I got pain here, there, and my body's falling apart, but God forbid we actually realize what the problem is, and that's the way that we think, because that brings about the actions and the daily life processes that we have that break our bodies down and break down the bodies of our kids and our grandkids, right? We didn't take care of ourselves. We didn't have somebody before us taking care of themselves, and if they passed it to us, we pass it to them. It's unacceptable now. Now you know. Got to start with taking care of you, right? And you have to have years and years of health. Then people look at you and say, oh, you're healthy. They're going to look at you like you're crazy at first. Like me, I'm a lunatic. I'm healthy, and fortunately and unfortunately, I'm going to outlive most of the people I know and love that I've been spending my life with. Thought process first, and that brings about the proper actions. Then we start taking care of the body. Then all of a sudden you're sitting in a chair in Southern California, taking a breath, realizing where you are, aligning the body, putting the proper things in it because of the proper thought process. It's a blessing that you bring about for yourself. I brought this about for myself. Best thing in the world to sit here and instead of having the body breaking down, having it build up. 99.99999% of us have no idea what that is. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's the best. It's a relief. It's knowing that whatever the future brings, I'm going to be able to handle it and handle it well. And I'm going to be able to bring a healthy body to it, which means I'm not distracted by all the pains and everything. It's very distracting when the body's not healthy. And then I could bring all that energy and thought that needs to go towards taking care of myself and, wondering how I'm going to take the next step, or if I could put my shoes or socks on, right? Or if I could go about my daily practice, God forbid, trim my toenails, reach those things, right? When you know that you can handle all these things, it frees up that survival mode, that fight or flight that comes quick because you got to protect the body. It's hurt. When that's not there anymore, it relieves a lot of stress and it relieves a lot of problems. It's a gift that you could give yourself, okay? And together we could do this, but you need the information and you need the desire and will to be healthy. If you're not healthy, it's because of you. Can't blame it on anybody else, a doctor, your spouse, I can't afford the good food, right? Good food is cheap. How much is a beet? How much is a head of lettuce, right? So we learn to make the proper thoughts. We could do this together, my friends, and that's why we're here. Thank you for listening, right? And please subscribe to my YouTube channel so we can continue to share this stuff. You have a great day filled with healing and health. Ciao. Spidey.